Oh, yeah. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Spirit in Mind, where we discuss spirit affairs with faith and mental health perspectives. I am Bishop Guy Robinson, and it is a blessing to be with you today. All of our streaming formats, but especially live here at Praise 106 Studios right here in Baltimore. And I'm grateful to have our colleague and co-host with us today, as always, Dr. Jonathan Shepard. Hello, Dr. Shepard.
Yeah, and good afternoon, Bishop, and good afternoon to our listening audience there on radio and in our streaming world.
Absolutely. We're so blessed that you're with us. And again, we're here live at Praise 106 Studios. The number is 443 380 2803. 443 380 2803. We'll be getting into our content in just a moment and looking forward to you joining us right here live at Praise 106 Studios. Tell somebody it's time for Spirit in Mind. Dr. Shepard is going to share some other ways that we can stay connected just before we get to our content for today.
And absolutely, we do stay connected here. And Bishop, it is amazing each week. And even last night at an event, I was hearing from people who saying we are watching Spirit of Mind and say,
Yeah.
Dr. Shepard, we're watching you, and I love it. I tell them, watch on. Bishop said, come on, watch on. And bring some people to watch. We have plenty to say. And I'm thankful for this platform for Spirit of Mind. We take this platform so seriously, and we've been doing it for over 4 years now. And we are so thankful for each of the people who have come up to us and let us know that you are listening and you are being blessed and being benefited. That's why we do this, to make sure that the body out there is well, not just well physically, but we want you to be well mentally. And so we're thankful for you. You can reach out to Bishop C. Guy Robinson. He is an author, a noted author, and we're going to double back to that. But he's also a pastor and professor at two universities. Wow. I always get amazed when I say that. And so we're thankful for the gift of Bishop C. Guy Robinson. I don't want to neglect, he is a family man, and he is definitely concerned about his family. Many times I just raise up his professional accomplishments, but he definitely has the order correct. And so we're thankful for being able to sit by this great man of God. And so you can go and you can look him up on YouTube. You can look him up on Instagram, on Facebook. He's on all those platforms. He's streaming live actually right now. So if you go there, you can tune in to the radio and also watch him in person as we go forth. And so please know that CGR Ministries is where you can find him, or you can find him Sundays and or other service times, 2100 West Baltimore Street, as he is a pastor of the Tabernacle of the Lord Church. And so we're so thankful for the gift of Bishop C. Guy Robinson. Then you can find me. You can find me on my different platforms, Jonathan Shepard. You can go there and you can follow me. You can go to my website, and my admin team will greatly service you if you're in need of direct care services. So many people are in need of direct care services for various reasons. And so I'm so thankful for the recommendations, for the referrals. And even if I can't help you, typically I'm able to find someone, put my hands or put you in touch with someone that can assist you if you're in need of direct care services for wherever it may be. So please reach out to me, drjonathanshepard.com, and I'll do my best to make sure that we connect you with the right services at the right time. And so we're so excited that you're here with us. Just like I said, I'm going to double back. And, Bishop has his book with me. I want you all to know that I did follow through on my promise, and I did get my 5 books. And I left them. I left them at home today. I was supposed to get them signed by Bishop today. But nonetheless, but Bishop, please tell us about this new book, The Soul Care Birthright.
Absolutely. We're excited about the release of the Soul Care Birthright right here. If you don't have it yet, you can certainly get it on Amazon in Kindle format, or if you want a hard copy like this, or Wednesday, July the 17th, little over, maybe about little over a week from now, we will be having a live presentation and discussion on the content and a book signing. So we want to invite you to join us at the Tabernacle of the Lord, Baltimore, Pulaski Street in Baltimore, Maryland. If you're out of town, we'll be streaming it. So you could join us from wherever you are in the country at our Tabernacle website, and we'll have more links and on my website and social media pages as well, because we want you to join us in the discussion. We want you to join us in getting your copies. If you can get it now, you could probably have it read by the time we sit down on the 17th to have that conversation. So the Soul Care Birthright is subtitled The Theology of Mental Health for Ministerial Practice. And we look at some of the relationships, how it evolved, how we can bring those worlds together. You know, collaborative care is at the center of my ministerial passions, and so we hopefully equip ministers with some more tools. Psychologist Judith Beck, daughter of Dr. Beck, noted for his contributions to cognitive behavioral therapy. Dr. Judith Beck said it is not necessary for ministers, if you will, or para groups to be, if you will, psychologists, to have certain tools from the psychological trade at their disposal in the practice of being the first responders. And so we just kind of bring some things to bring that awareness to the mindset, including thresholds of referral, how to recognize all those kind of things. So the Soul Care Birthright is all about that, to equip ministers with some more tools to do the work of ministry in collaborative care as a part of the kingdom of God and a part of the ecosystem of collaborative care for our holistic wellness. Anybody who's heard me before knows that one of my favorite verses is 1 Thessalonians 5:23 that says, "Now may the very God of peace sanctify you wholly, completely, entirely, and may your whole spirit, soul, and body," pneuma, suke, from which we get the word psychology, and soma, may your whole spirit, soul, and body be preserved, which means to be kept and caused to prosper. And so we're all about that holistic approach. And so if you don't have it yet, get your copy of the Soul Care Birthright. And then I'd love to talk with you more. You can hashtag the Soul Care Birthright. We'll look at it and look at your feedback and respond. So thank you in advance for your prayers and support.
Oh man, Bishop, this is awesome. So if you're watching and streaming, I literally was on my phone because I had to put it into my calendar. I don't want to miss that date. That's I want to make sure. I want to make sure that I am there. I want you to be there. That's why I have my phone out, because if it gets in my phone, that means that it's going to take place. Anybody out there understand? You got to make sure you have that calendar, that personal calendar. And so we all just put it out there. I put the address on here. Start at 7 o'clock.
Yes.
All right, 7 o'clock p.m. That's Wednesday, July the 17th. We normally don't announce things like that because we want to make sure that we don't date ourselves, but we're dating ourselves for this one. So we want to make sure that we have a tremendous outpour. I will be there in the house, God willing, and I hope that you will be there. We want to support Bishop with this. I don't want to have to wait till the 17th to get all 5 copies. I don't want to wait to have to do that.
We'll see each other. But everybody else, come on to the 17th. I look forward to seeing you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we're thankful for this, and we want to get into our discussion today.
Yes. We've been talking about transitions and dealing with transitions, and then dealing with the feelings of loss and grief processing that can come with transitions, even in positive transitions. They can be what is sometimes colloquially called happy, sad events, like graduations, commencements. On one hand, we know we're going to another level, but we also know that we're leaving a familiar setting. And so these things are common to our experience. We've been talking about transition, the developmental transitions in the life cycle. As we move through various ages and stages of life, toddler and pre-adolescent, adolescent, and all that, and different stages of our growth and development. We are constantly evolving, emerging, becoming, and which means we're constantly also going through transitions on the job, in our whole spirit, soul, and body, relationships. And we've been talking about how these things progress and how to adjust sometimes to the new season and the new place that we're in. And now Dr. Shepard is going to bring us to today's discussion. And again, if it resonates with you, you can put something in the chat line, or you can call us at 443-380-2803. Dr. Shepard.
Wonderful. And so thank you, Bishop. And I'm just going to do a brief recap because last week's show was so powerful as we are talking about living in a new place. And I got stuck, if you would, on the topic of being able to release and being able to release those things that as you go into a new place, you want to make sure that you're not bringing the old with the new and being able to release those old things. And I was even looking at my notes, Bishop, even in preparation for today. And also something that really stuck in my mind, necessarily along with release. I'm sure there's a thread somewhere, but I was really thinking about how we also talked about 2 weeks ago, how we should capture them and don't miss the moment while we're just capturing the pictures and capturing the photographs. That really has been resonating with me a lot lately. I've been sharing that with people. That once you arrive to a new place, and once you find yourself in a new place, and you're taking the pictures, and you're taking inventory, and you're looking to see what new things there are now, you have to take some time to live in that moment. Don't miss that moment. Bishop and I we were in a meeting even today, and we were just talking about how you can look at the progression, you can look at how things have evolved, you can look at how things now, as you just mentioned, regarding graduations, regarding the new accomplishments. And we are in that season of graduations. And again, happy graduation to all those who finished this year in June or in May of 2024. But we know that this can be a scary time. We know that this can be a new time for you. I know there are people who are preparing to go into college, and this may be your first year of college. You may be going into that grad school. You may be going into a whole different arena. I know for physicians, July 1st, that was your first day for being in residency for medical schools. Well, typically medical schools are in August, but definitely in residency, becoming a new physician, a new contract, you find yourself with new responsibilities. You find yourself with the newness of being in an environment, and it can be quite scary. But we don't want you to miss the moment. We don't want you to miss the moment, Bishop. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, but I tell you that really resonated with me. And as I thought about that and not missing the moment, it allowed for me to be able to even detox them, be able to let go of some of those old things, be able to release that. Because as I'm taking time to relish in the moment, if you would, and bask in the moment, it's letting me know that there's certain things that I got to this point that yes, some of them I have to take inventory. They may go along with me as I move further in progression. And then there's some things I say, you know what? I don't have need of this anymore. I don't have need of this thought pattern. I don't have need of whatever this particular device or thing that I once had. And so, yeah, I wanted to start there today and just review through some of those things. And thank you, Minister Donna, who's a part of my church, Donna Roulette. She said, yes, don't miss the moment. And thank you, Janet Rogers. She said, this whole series is like a workbook, man.
That's a thought.
Hey, great whole workbook.
That not missing the moment is critical, and it was convicting for me. There's been some emerging, because still there's still some emerging studies that are being done. And of course, social media age and having all these technological advances at our disposal, like right in our hand, certainly has its blessings, benefits, and assets. But more and more data is suggesting that it be considered to be like a tool that should be used wisely and responsibly and not mindlessly, both in terms of developing or arresting social development, social intelligence, the ability to hold conversations with others live and in person. Dr. Vivek Murthy, the current
Mhm.
Surgeon General, has expressed his concerns
Yes, sir.
about these technological advances and the epidemic of loneliness, to use his exact phrase.
Yes, sir.
And so one of the other things that is being considered is, having cameras at our disposal. We can catch little milliseconds, but spend so much time while we're trying to get positioned just right and get the lighting just right and move around the person that is in front of us, or
Wow.
the obstacle that's in our view. And while we're doing that, we're losing other ways that memory is stored.
Mm.
The sense of the outdoors and the sounds that are
Mhm.
going on. So we captured a picture, but we're losing memory of the moment. So it may be, if that's an option, a consideration to see if at some of our real life landmark events, if we want to either hire a photographer, if that's a viable option, or designate someone to
Mhm.
be the designated photographer for us, if you will, who may be perhaps willing to volunteer or outside of our association, just so we can really immerse ourselves in the moment, because not all memory is retained visually, but it is retained by scent and sound and all of our senses at work. And so just being in that moment is just so critical to appreciate all the things that are happening as we're transitioning, even in enjoying the
Yes.
journey. Yeah. So that's what that's about.
And as you were speaking, Bishop, I was thinking about how the brain works. And you just mentioned how we should be utilizing multiple senses in order to be able to retain memory. And I think about how you are preparing for an exam, or you're preparing for a presentation, or even while you're listening, you may be the student or the pupil, and you're listening to the teacher. And it's not just one thing just to listen to what the person is saying, but you want to be able to visualize it, even sensory, as far as smell. That's even a powerful way in which you can retain memory. And
Yes.
I appreciate what you're saying, Bishop, as you're saying that, because and I'll go back to what we were saying is, when you're studying for something, you're reading something, we don't want you to get the cliff notes. We want you to read the whole book. My God, I hope there's no cliff notes for the Soul Care Birthright. You got, you got to read the whole book. There there are no cliff notes. And hey, I'll be honest with you, Bishop. There were some times when I was at medical school, and Lord Jesus, thank God I came out successfully. But there were some times when I had to go and read the cliff notes, and so there were certain times where I didn't have the time to read the book because of the demand that was on me, the practical exercises that I had to do. Sometimes I had to be at the hospital at 6 a.m.,
Mhm.
had to be there at 6 a.m. So that means I couldn't wake up at 6, had to be there at 6, and then I didn't leave until 7 p.m. And as you can imagine, the physical body is tired. But what I learned through that lesson is that sometimes I had to just stop some other stuff that was going on, and even had to stop some of the practical exercises and say, if I don't take time to not just skip through some of the what I thought were not the not important parts, and really sit down and digest the material. This really is an important point for you all too, as we are coming in to making sure that we are at this halfway. Well, we're at the halfway point now, and as you're taking some time and looking back, take some time back and look at where you are now from where you were January 1st of 2024. I know if you're like me, this has been a difficult year, and it's a little bit of scary situation for some of us. And I look back, even in January, I look back and say, God, how did you help me through the situation? But let me tell you, it's important to take that time and just don't skip through and do the Cliff Notes section. Take some time to sit back, relax, digest what those things that you have been through. Once you've arrived in that new season, take some time and to make sure that you are capturing all of those significant moments. And then as you're preparing for the next moment, just oh, I know I need to build this for the house. And, let me figure
Yes,
out how I can
yes.
just, get the real, the cheap way to, to do it as opposed to reading the whole plan or whole blueprint for that. Yeah, I feel that. Thank you, Bishop. That's
Absolutely. It's how the brain works, and it's how the spirit works as well. It's
mm,
the spirit and mind that
mm,
actually being in the moment are actually times when we can receive spiritual revelation.
mm,
Um,
mm,
Sometimes theologically referred to as natural revelation, referring to Romans, where Paul said, by the visible things of nature are the invisible principles of God clearly seen. And so sometimes God will, if we can be in that moment, look at the scriptures, it says, like, consider the lilies,
mm,
yeah, consider the ants,
mhm.
uh, look at the sparrow. So it's saying you could be in that moment and pay attention, God can speak through those ways. In the Celtic tradition of Christianity, they were referred to as thin places. Thin places were places in our natural surroundings, when in their understanding of the cosmos at that time, where the layer between this world and the spiritual revelation world was thin. It was a portal, if you will.
Mm,
That's why Jesus took Peter, James, and John up on the Mount of Transfiguration. It's a thin place. And but to do that, we have to pay attention to the areas that are around us, and be in that moment. And we'll see how God is blessing us. Jeremiah, go to the potter's house and be in that moment. And
mm.
I'm going to show you a work on a wheel. But you got to be in that moment, if you will. They didn't have cameras, but for us, that means it can't be more obsessed, if you will, with taking pictures than we are of living in that moment.
Wow.
Because it's possible to have, as the studies are showing, photographs of the event, but no memory.
Wow.
In our spirits, in all the ways that God wants to speak to us,
Yeah.
audibly, manually, all the five senses at work.
Wow. And that's when we have to be careful, even when we sit in services, when we
Yeah,
sit in services where people are taking pictures, and we want to see who can get the quickest to go viral. Everybody is there going live with various different feeds, and I love it. I'm not downing it,
right.
but are you doing that and end up missing a move of healing, a move of deliverance that you could possibly be engaged in? It's hard to be trying to film something and yet be immersed into the whole atmosphere of all that's happening. Uh,
Yes.
it really is. And
Yeah.
so I've watched that. And I know we're talking about church services, but you could be in another a particular situation. I've been in symposiums, I've been in presentations, I've been in seminars where if my mind was not focused in on what I was doing or what was being said to me at the time, I'll end up missing some wonderful information because I'm not all there. I'm not all focused. And
Absolutely. Or my child's graduation,
ooh,
or birthday party. So
wow,
I was at the event, but then when I look back in retrospect and say, where'd the years go?
wow.
It can be, not necessarily always, but it can be indicative of some of the moments that we were present but not present.
Mm,
And Pastor Robert Spry on one of our streaming networks asked a powerful question. Yes, we are kind of talking about mindfulness, not in a new agey sense, but in the sense of being in this moment, appreciating the things that are going on right now. You shared before that sometimes ruminating over the past can be associated with a sense of helplessness that sends us to a not so healthy, if you depressive kind of state. But being in the flip, being preoccupied with what's happening next, is the very idea of can trigger some anxious feelings. And so being mindful in this very moment of what's going on and how the Lord is blessing us can sometimes help us to internalize all this. Having said all that, in our last 2 minutes or so, I count not myself to have apprehended.
mhm.
We are all working through this thing together, but it is that piece of being mindful. Thank you, Pastor Spry, for bringing that to the conversation.
And absolutely, we want you to know that we have not veered off of any off of our destination for where we are, because we've been talking about how we heal and how we strengthen our mind. We want to be very clear about this. This is how we heal and how we strengthen our mind. We want to make sure that as you are being healed in the various areas where you need to be healed, that your mind is also being strengthened. It's hard to do that while you're still snapping the pictures and while you still, you know, take some time. If you're going to heal properly, you must take the time to capture the moment and sit there and don't miss those moments. And so I'm so thankful that we're able to flow as we do. But I want those people out there, because there's been people listening every single week. We have not strayed away. We're helping you to make sure that you're healing in this time, that you're strengthening your mind. And we'll get back to some of those principles as we discussed even last week. But I want people to know we're right on track, because we understand that this time and place for us right now is so important, so crucial, and we don't want to miss anything that God has for us. And we want to make sure that you're growing physically as well as mentally.
Absolutely. So thank you for joining us. If this has been a blessing to you, please share it with someone else. Let someone else know that we're here by the grace of God on Saturdays live at Praise 106 and streaming on our various platforms. By the grace of God, we look forward to seeing you next time right here on Spirit in Mind. Thank you, everybody.
We still have another minute. I only had one commercial. You could have moved 1 minute or two. This program is brought to you by Spirit in Mind LLC.